welcome to the BeDoKnit podcast. My name is Amy and I am a knitter, crocheter, occasional knitwear designer, and this is my podcast where I talk about what I'm currently knitting. I might share some finished objects or talk about what I am planning on knitting next. Today I have a whip to share with you and the Book Club Cardigan, and I'm in a cal, and there is going to be a phone call coming up here shortly in about a half hour. So I'm going to hopefully wrap this up fairly quickly and then jump onto that call to chat with a bunch of people that are also in the cal. Oh, and I want to share about my top 10 sweaters to knit this fall. And these are just sweaters that I have had in my queue on Ravelry and my favorites, or I've shared on Instagram in my hashtag stories called Knitspiration, today's Knitspiration. That's what's in store today. And without further ado, I'll get started. So this is my Book Club cardigan. Like I said, I've talked about it many times before, so I won't go into the details of the cal, but this is my progress since the last time I podcasted. I'm not sure where I was previously, but I think I had done the back panels and maybe I was going to start on the front, or I had done, part of the front. So you start right here, and you work your way down, and then at some point you pick up stitches and you do the front of the left and then you do the right, or vice versa. But everybody on the cal has been picking up the stitches a little bit differently. So this seam on the pattern, it's a little askew, the cable pattern, and so some people didn't like that. I was fine with it, but I just decided to do a slight modification, and I picked up on, it's in my Ravelry, but basically I think instead of starting from the first row, I think I started on row 9 or something like that of the main chart, so that it kind of matched up a little bit more. So it kind of looks like a diamond right there where the seam is. I don't even know if you can see that, but yeah, right here. I wanted it to kind of still look like a diamond. In the pattern, it's just a skew. So anyway, I did that modification, and I think it gave me more rows, actually. It did give me more rows because I did an extra repeat of something, so that I think I have a wider sleeve, which if you've watched this podcast, I like to have a deep sleeve. I don't like things hugging up tight, especially a cardigan. I feel like with a cardigan, I'm going to be throwing this on over something. I want some room under there in case I'm wearing a shirt that has a bit of a longer armhole depth. I want the cardigan to be able to go over that. So I don't like tightness on my arm. So yeah, I think this is going to work out great. And because I did that deeper, I'm making a size large, or it's like a size 3. I went up to the size 4 when I picked up stitches to do the sleeves. So I just started the sleeves because I'm kind of testing out, is picking up the number of stitches for a size 4 enough, or should I pick up even more stitches? And then, I don't like a tight sleeve either. Like when you get down to the cuff, I don't want it tight anywhere. So I might potentially have a wider sleeve. We will see at the end. And I kind of want to do the sleeves first because I got this yarn, the Wild Barn yarn, the main wool yarn, and I'm holding it with Issei or mohair. I can get more Issei or mohair, but I don't know if I can get, I know I can't actually get any more of the Wild Barn yarn because it was from a sheep and the sheep's name is Flynn. I couldn't remember. I think I thought it was Fiona or something, but it's actually Flynn. I'm getting like little fluffy things in my eyeballs because of turning this around and sitting so close to it. Flynn is the name of the sheep that produced the yarn. So the lady who I purchased the yarn from at the Sheep and Wool Festival in Minnesota, she said, if you run out of yarn, I'm not going to be able to give you more yarn because even though I still have the sheep that produced it, every year due to weather or just circumstances of, when the sheep is sheared and, like animals when they eat, certain things, the color of their wool is going to change over that year. So it's not possible to get the same exact yarn. So I would not be able to get matching yarn, even from the same sheep, even from Flynn. Like if I could possibly get more yarn from Flynn herself. I think it's a female sheep. But anyway, so I want to do the sleeves first because I could always crop the sweater. If I'm going, I do the sleeves, they're done. And then I go down and there's pockets. So, if I'm playing yarn chicken and I'm kind of running out of yarn, I will be able to tell like, okay, I need to make this thing cropped or I can do it a little bit longer. And I want to just use up the yarn. So I might, if I have a bunch of yarn left, I might go for a longer sweater because it is kind of nice to have a cardigan that goes over your bum. So I might opt for that. Or if I'm running out of yarn, just do a crop sweater. And that's cute too. So I've got options. What else? I have to say, I was making this sweater. I think that's all for now. In terms of like, oh, one thing, like you're picking up some stitches here to make this, at the collar to like build out the collar. And one side I increased at a certain rate and the other side I had to kind of make up for it. I was like, oh, I forgot that increase. I don't worry about that stuff. You can't tell. You cannot tell. So, one is, yeah, it'll be fine. I put the button band on. I think it's a double knit button band. I think it's going to be fine. So I don't worry about that stuff. It was maybe like 5 rows later, I did an increase and then I did another one and another 5 rows where I would have waited 10 rows to make that increase. I just did, yeah, it's fine. I don't get stressed out about that stuff. Now, if there was a cable that was like knit incorrectly, I would go back and actually rip back and fix that. But for something like an increase, no. I don't think anybody's going to be able to tell. So yeah, I'm working on this sleeve. I'm going to see how that goes. And if I need to go back and increase the number of stitches that I put on, I will do that. But I think it's going to be fine. I have a deep enough armhole and I think it's going to be great. What else? I think that's about it. It's going really well. And as you can see, it is just a gorgeous pattern. I mean, look at that stitch definition with this yarn. Even though it's fuzzy yarn and it's, held with Isair, it's going to be super soft. I'm so excited. But I mean, these stitches, you can see the stitch definition is just popping, that cable. So I'm pretty excited about that. And, oops, I have 2 balls of yarn. I mean, I have the 2 that I'm holding together, but I have 2 because I have the one for the body and then I have the sleeve balls. So I've got the yarn held in 2 bags across the room. But anyway, so moving on to my top 10 favorite sweater pattern designs for the fall. Super excited about that. Oh, one more thing about this sweater. So part of this Book Club Cardigan Cal is that people are encouraged to share about what they're reading and their favorite book and be reading a book at the same time as making the sweater. Well, that came in handy because this sweater and doing all those cables, and I'm still using a cable needle, and I hurt my wrist really bad. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's just all that cabling and working, you know, knitting and purling and cabling. My wrist was gonna fall off. Like, it just hurt so bad. And I went on vacation for 4 days. I went to Wild Rice Retreat where Gina and I filmed the first episode. I was thinking about filming an episode up there, but I forgot my tripod and I don't know. And I just decided to just relax because I was on vacation. I brought 3 knitting projects. I brought that cardigan. I brought my half and half triangle wrap. I did not make enough progress to show you. And then I also brought my no frills sweater. And that has gone nowhere. I mean, I just feel like I need to focus on one project at a time and complete it. So I'm going to work on the Book Club cardigan. I'm going to finish it. Unless my wrist starts hurting again, then I'll switch to something like, you know, the half and half triangles wrap or the no frills. But I want to finish these projects. I like to finish things and get things done. So I'm going to do that. And, but I had to rest my wrist because it hurt so bad. So I did all these stretches. I was going like this. I kept doing like, you know, wrist circles. I tried putting like a can of soda and like leaning my wrist over the couch and doing this kind of thing. You know, I just was really trying to work out that kink, and it was hurting pretty bad. So I waited 4 or 5 days, and now I've picked up my knitting again. And on the 5th or 6th day, it was fine. So I think as long as I don't overdo it and really stress it out, I think I'll be okay. Oh, the one thing I was going to talk about is I had to take a break from knitting this cardigan. And so I was able to dive into the books I was reading as part of the Book Club Cardigan. And that book was A Court of Thorns and Roses from Sarah Moss. And then that is a series of 5 books. And I blew through all 5 books in 59 days. So a couple of months. I read 2,800 to 3,000 pages, something like that in total. So what is that? I don't even know. But it's a lot of reading. And even my husband and I, we went out to go get some to-go food one night. And I had the food on my lap and he was trying to talk to me. And I had my phone on the other side of the bag of to-go food. And I was like, had my Kindle pulled up on my phone and I was trying to read. And he was like, "What are you doing over there?" But I could not stop reading these books. They are just action-packed and a little bit like romance, steamy. And so it was just like, you just can't put it down. It was just one thing after another. And yeah, these books, highly recommend. You cannot put them down. They are just, I read all 5, like I said, in 2 months. So I didn't finish this cardigan, but I finished those books. And when I hurt my wrist, you know, I had those books to read. So it was just perfect for being on vacation and having something else to do. They kept me company for the last, I don't know, like I said, 2 months. So I hope you, well, if any of you have read that book, let me know in the comments. And if you have a different suggestion for a book that's like that, where you just can't put it down, I would love to hear it. That series, it's fantasy. It's like fantasy romance. I can't remember. Somebody combined the word. It was like romantasy, I think it was, which is so funny. But anyway, it's a bit, yeah, fantasy and romance mixed. But I like I said, I could not put them down, and I loved that series so much. So yeah, if you have a book recommendation, something that you just could not put down, let me know. All right, so on to the next thing. So top 10 favorite knits for the fall. Now, this first one is the wave sweater. Some of you may have seen the wave sweater on Instagram. I mean, it was hot for a while, and for good reason. Look at these. This huge, I don't know what it is. It's like the yarn color combinations that I've seen, and also the big, bold pattern of this sweater. It is just eye-catching and gorgeous. I love it so much. So this is from Spectacle Strick, and I will put the designer's name along with the pattern up on the screen for each of these. But this pattern is worked in Aran weight, and it goes from extra small to XXL. So I really want to make this sweater. I just love it so much. And it looks like it is knit up on a 4mm needle, which is a size US 6. So yeah, that seems pretty doable. Aran weight yarn on a US 6, that should go pretty quickly, I think. So yeah, that is number 1. And it might be the top of my list. I mean, it's hard to say because I love a lot of these. The second one is also a contender for number 1. And that is the Mosaic Sweater from Pernille Larsen of Knitting for Olive. She is the mom of the mother-daughter team that's behind Knitting for Olive. And this sweater, when I first saw it, I was just like, stop everything, knit it right now. And I've had the yarn in my cart several times, but now I'm kind of hemming and hawing about the color choice. So in the photo that I'm going to post, it looks like a cream and a black, but I think it's actually a dark, dark brown, I think. But I've also seen a version in kind of like an orangey red and cream. And you know, I love that red. So we'll see. I also think the black and white, or the dark, dark, dark brown and white or cream is a classic. And that would be, you know, it would just be a classic choice to make that color combination. And I also think a blue and white or blue and cream would be pretty hard to decide, these things. So that's number 2, and this one is knit in fingering plus lace for a sport weight yarn. So they have 2 held together, but you could use a sport weight to get the same gauge. And the needle size is a US 7 or a US 10, which is a 4.5 or 6mm needle. So that is that one. Both of those patterns are available on Ravelry, by the way. So the next one is the Porcelain Yoke Sweater Solo. And this one it's from Knit, and I'll put the designer's name up. But this one is made with, the yarn that's shown here is in Sandnesgarn Tin Silk Mohair. And it looks like held together with Sandnesgarn Tin Pier. 2 lace weight yarns held together. This one is very size inclusive. It comes in XX small to a 5XL. So I saw this pattern was knit up by Molly from Homespun House. Her version is so good. And when I saw it, that's what inspired me to make this sweater. Hers is gorgeous. She wears it all the time. I feel like maybe it's her favorite sweater right now too. I don't know. But hers, she did it in a cream background, or like her antique colorway. And then I think she used like a red and a pink and one other color. And it is gorgeous. And I also love this blue and white. I think this was just classic Scandinavian looking sweater. That would be really pretty too. I love that blue. So I'm not sure what I would make it in, but I was inspired by Molly's version where she used several different colors. As you can see, a lot of these are Colorwork sweaters, so I must be on the, I don't know, I must be getting geared up to do a Colorwork sweater pattern, because all of these are pretty much, yeah, all of them. All right, the next, maybe I'll have to call this top 10 Colorwork sweaters to make this fall. The next one is my favorite things knitwear, and it's the Norma Sweater. So the Norma Sweater, she's using Esayer yarn. So it is a lace and a sport to make an Aran weight. I'm gonna have all of these patterns in a bundle that I will link below. So you can just quickly click on the bundle and find the sweater that you're interested in. So Aran weight, US size 2.5 or 3mm needle, US 6 4mm needle, and a US 8 5mm needle for this one. And it comes in sizes extra small to 4XL. So yeah, this one again, I mean, I just think it would be so gorgeous to use, you know, a base color and then two of your favorite, all-time favorite colors for that colorwork part. So good. All right. The next sweater is Instant Crush. So I saw the very beginning of Fruity Knitting's latest episode, and she was talking, and Andrea shared her Instant Crush sweater, like whip, her work in progress. And the colors that Hohi used in her version, I am just smitten with. The only thing is I might change it up to be less of a orangey version and then more of like a red, even red orange like this, with lavender and maybe pink. I don't know, something. But anyway, I might change it up. Instant Crush. Hohi Locatelli, she's got 300 patterns, I think I heard Andrea say, from Fruity Knitting. And I know she was just at a knitting retreat with Andrea, and Madeline went on this knitting retreat, and I think Kim from Knit Together with Kim and Jana, she was also there. And I think she learned about this sweater there. And so she fell in love with it and had an instant crush with this sweater. And so now she's making it. This one is made with 2 strands of lace held together for a DK weight. And the needle size is US 6 or 4mm and a US 2.5, 3mm. So lots of really beautiful combinations, yarn combinations. And you can just look on Ravelry on the project page and see all of the gorgeous sweaters. I mean, so amazing. So yeah, Instant Crush, Hohi Locatelli. The next one is the Bibi Sweater. So the Bibi Sweater, this one is a great colorwork sweater. I would love to make this one. Again, it's by Spectacle Strick. This one is using 2 size needles, the US 1.5 or a 2.5mm, and then a US 4 3.5mm. And I just think this one would be really fun to make and pick out some of your favorite colors to combine for this one. It reminds me a little bit of the Mosaic Sweater from Knitting for Olive. Just the shape of it, I think, is very reminiscent of that one. But I love all this color going on. So I think this one would be really, really fun to knit. It looks like some people have done it with a turtleneck collar, and then some have done kind of a folded over collar. So, you know, you have choices. So yeah, I think that's a great one. Great option. The next one is the Piet Sweater, and that's by Joanna Garish, who also was the designer of Gina's Anders tee that I made recently. But I love all these bright colored checks in this one. And the shape is great. It's just a beautiful sweater. I've been looking at this one for a long time. And this one is a fingering weight, held together with another fingering weight to make DK. So you could either use a DK or hold 2 fingering weight strands together. But uses a US 4 and a US 7. Sizes extra small to 3XL. And the pattern is available in English, French, and German. I didn't say that for the other ones, so sorry. But you can look at the pattern. I'm going to have the bundle and you can go check it out. But yeah, again, I just love all these colors. I mean, so bright and cheery and pretty. One that I did not put in here was the Gr8 Gingham Sweater. And I also love that one. Yeah, I think I gotta add that one. So anyway, it might be the top 11. Or maybe I'll come up with like a top 12 by the time I'm done with this. And this one may have been in my top items to knit in 2024. I've had my eye on this one for a long time too. I would not do it as cropped as she did, where she's showing her midriff. This 49-year-old is not about to do that. But I love the colors that are in the original, the one with, you know, that she took photos in. Oh my gosh, this red, it is gorgeous with the like kind of multicolored, I don't know, it's probably spin cycle in the background. Gorgeousness. And it uses 4 US 4 3.5 millimeter, a US 6 4 millimeter, and a US 7 4.5 millimeter. And suggested yarn is Spin Cycle yarns dyed in the wool and Ritual dyes Sprite. So lots of inclusive sizing, which she is absolutely known for. I mean, all of her patterns are very inclusive. Yeah, this one is an ultimate favorite of mine that someday I've just got to make. When I met my husband, he had every shade of gingham check shirts in his closet. It was like a thing. It was his uniform, basically. Gucci loafers, some kind of bright trousers, and a gingham check shirt. That was just his look. So I have always loved gingham. I had a gingham check baby blanket that my grandma made me. So it's always been a favorite. So yeah, I would love to make this one. And let's see, what else? And then, this is an old pattern from Arnie and Carlos, but I bought the yarn and I love the bat wings or the dolman shaped sleeve on it. And I really want to make this one. I even bought, I think it was Rowan Magazine 64. That was published in December 2018. So it's an old pattern, but I love the colors. I love the pattern on it, and I love the shape of the sweater. So I have the yarn, I have the pattern, I have the magazine, and all I need to do is knit this up. It's knit up on a US 3 or 3.25 millimeter needle, US 6 or a 4 millimeter needle, and it uses the DK, what was it? Oh, Rowan Alpaca Soft DK. Now, I'm a little afraid of this one, and I would have to be using a zipped project bag because this Rowan Alpaca Soft DK was the yarn that got like this black streak in it from a moth in my house. So I would be very nervous to make this one and have the yarn sitting out at all. So I would have to make it and put it in like a Tupperware bin and only take it out to wear it and then put it back in there. And I'd be very careful with that yarn while I was making it, especially if it was taking me a while to make it. I would definitely have it tucked in a bag, zipped up, because there's something about that alpaca yarn. I think any kind of like farmy, I don't know why they got at it, but they did. So that is second to last. It looks like I'm going to have 11 sweaters. The Harlequin Jumper. So this one is, the Harlequin Jumper is from Fable Knitwear. And this one I was inspired to make by watching Caddy Jack's knits. So both Caitlin and Jackie Rose, both of them made this sweater in their individual colors, like their favorite colors. And Jackie's sweater I really, really loved. It had black and I think red and maybe some kind of mustard. It was so perfect. I'll put a photo up here of it. But anyway, I love, love, love her version of this sweater. And when I saw it, I just felt like I had to make it. So Yarn weight is DK, and it's a US size 6 needle, 4mm. And yeah, extra small to 4XL in terms of sizing, available in English and Norwegian. So love that one. And then last but not least, maybe this will be the bonus sweater, since it'd be nice to do a top 10, but this will be like a little bonus. And this one is the Marled Magic sweater from StevenBe. So it's more of a poncho. So maybe I'll say top 10 sweaters and a poncho. But this one is, I believe this is in a book that I purchased of his, from maybe his favorite designs, or his top designs. And this one is great. I don't know if I would make the back quite as long. Maybe I would. But I love the I-cord edging on it in a contrasting pop of color. I just think that's really cool. And I don't know, to use up some gorgeous colorwork, indie dyed yarn for this one, and then just use a solid pop for the cuff collar and the trim on it would be pretty cool. So yeah, this one I've been looking at for years and years, and it's just kind of been in my to make list for a long time. And this one is knit up on a US 8 5mm needle, and he used hedgehog fibers, sock or lace weight. So yeah, it's kind of almost like it's a sweater, but also a pullover kind of dress. So I would call it maybe a poncho. I mean, it's really a poncho to me. But yeah, this one would be very fun. I also have, as you know, I have that whip. I have a Ponchini on the needles. So I do need to finish that before I get into this one. But that is my top 10. Plus the bonus poncho. So that is about it for today's episode. I hope you're all enjoying your summer and enjoying whatever you're knitting or whatever's on the needles. Have a good rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye.